The desert had a way of swallowing sound, turning even the loudest machines into whispers. Under a moon bleached thin as bone, SEAL Team 6 moved through the high plateau with the confidence of men who had survived worse places than this. Satellites watched from above, drones circled like patient hawks, and somewhere far away, analysts traced glowing lines across screens. The mission briefing had been clean and confident. A hostile presence in the mountains, a myth more than a soldier, eliminated before she destabilized the region. The locals called her the native ghost. Intelligence called her impossible. They first knew something was wrong when the wind shifted. It wasn't the bullet that made the sound. There was none, but the sudden absence of life around them. A fraction of a second later, the team's lead scout dropped as if the ground had reached up and pulled him down. No echo followed, no muzzle flash flickered on the ridgeline, just a single, surgical end. Training kicked in, bodies scattering for cover, night vision optics sweeping across miles of darkness. The rangefinders blinked in disbelief. 3,500 meters. Beyond what modern doctrine said was practical, beyond what any of them wanted to believe. She had grown up in these mountains long before they learned to pronounce their names. The rifle she carried had been built by her grandfather and his father before him, shaped from dark wood, polished by generations of hands, reinforced with metal scavenged and reforged. It was old, yes, but tuned with a precision that came from knowing one land, one wind, one horizon. To her people, hunting was not sport, it was conversation with distance, patience made physical. She didn't calculate the shot the way the SEALs did. She listened to it. The team called in air support, but the ghost had already moved. She never stayed where a man expected her to be. She flowed down slope through stone and shadow, bare feet finding holds no map recorded. Another shot came, impossibly distant again, and another operator fell, his radio cracking with half-spoken disbelief. Panic tried to claw its way in, but discipline held the line. They adjusted formations, used thermal scans, layered sensors. Nothing caught her. The mountain itself seemed to protect her. From her vantage point, the soldiers were loud. Their technology hummed, their movements cut neat, predictable lines through chaos. She felt no hatred toward them, only a cold resolve sharpened by memory. She remembered drones hovering over her village, remembered elders arguing with men who promised protection and delivered only graves. When the first satellite dishes appeared on the ridges, she learned their rhythms the way others learned constellations. When the first patrols came, she learned their habits. Survival had turned her into a weapon long before anyone gave her a name. The firefight that followed wasn't loud. It was methodical and cruel. The SEALs advanced with overlapping fields of fire, smoke blooming across the plateau like artificial fog. They were some of the best soldiers on Earth, and it showed. Twice they forced her to retreat, bullets chipping stone inches from her face. Once, a drone nearly caught her heat signature, and only plunging into an icy ravine saved her. But patience was her ally. She waited, letting the night stretch thin again, letting the soldiers' certainty fray. The shot that would define the encounter came just before dawn, when the light was at its worst and the air most unstable. She lay prone against a slab of rock older than memory, breathing slow, fingers steady. 3,500 meters of wind, curvature, and doubt separated her from the man coordinating the assault. He was brilliant, decisive, and convinced that eventually technology always won. Her rifle bucked gently, like an animal releasing a breath. Far away, certainty collapsed. Silence followed. Not victory silence, but the heavy pause that comes when professionals realize they are no longer in control. Orders came down to disengage. Extraction birds thundered in, rotors shredding the fragile morning. The SEALs left with their wounded and their dead, eyes scanning the ridges until the last possible second, expecting her to appear, to finish it. She never did. The ghost did not chase retreating prey. When the reports were written, analysts argued for weeks. The shot was labeled anomalous, the enemy classified as a statistical outlier. The rifle was described as primitive, the shooter highly skilled but ultimately limited. None of the language captured what the men on that mountain felt, that for once they had stepped into someone else's legend and barely escaped with their own. She returned to the high paths as the sun climbed, erasing tracks with deliberate care. To her people, the story would not be about soldiers or distances measured in meters. It would be about listening, about defending what remembers you. The native ghost vanished back into the land that had shaped her, leaving behind nothing but a lesson whispered through the ranks of the world's most elite warriors. Some battles aren't lost to better weapons, but to deeper roots.